Uncovering the past on Lot 5 during Season 13 of The Curse of Oak Island represents another chapter in the long and mysterious pursuit of hidden history believed to be locked beneath the soil of this remote Nova Scotia island. As the new season unfolds, the team finds themselves returning to a location that has previously been overshadowed by more famous areas such as the Money Pit, Smith's Cove, and the Swamp. However, Lot 5 holds its own quiet intrigue. It stands at the northern area of the island and has long been connected to early landowners, suspected treasure guardians, and scattered artifacts that never quite seem to add up, until now, when the evidence emerging from digging and metal detecting begins to form a clearer picture of pre-1795 activity, very different from what the historical record suggests. Rick and Marty Lagina, joined by their dedicated team of historians, archaeologists, researchers, and engineers, have learned through time that progress on Oak Island rarely comes from grand, single discoveries. Instead, it often comes from patterns, evidence slowly threading together, sometimes over years. Lot 5 becomes a space where these patterns sharpen. Prior finds on the lot include strange stone formations, old coins of foreign origin, evidence of burning, and hand-forged spikes that should not logically be there if Oak Island's widely accepted history is accurate. What the team begins to suspect is that Lot 5 was not simply a settled piece of land or a farm plot belonging to ordinary early colonists. Instead, it may have been a staging ground, a landing area, or even a hidden work zone associated with the very construction of the Oak Island treasure system itself. As Season 13 progresses, the team brings in ground-penetrating radar, metal-detecting experts, and forensic archaeologists to explore the area. What stands out immediately is the density of anomalies beneath the soil. The radar reveals inconsistencies indicating either buried structures or unnatural earth disturbances. At first glance, they could be remnants of land clearing or simple historical trash pits. But the depth, length, and intentional shape of these anomalies point to something more complex, perhaps tunnels or channels, perhaps storage pits, or even the foundation of a small but significant building. What elevates Lot 5 from curiosity to possible breakthrough is not just the physical finds, but the history tied to the land. Lot 5 was once owned by individuals connected to Freemasonry, mercantile trade, shipping routes, and early colonial networks stretching to Europe, the Caribbean, and even the mysterious Templar-linked enclaves of Scotland and France. Documents suggest that the landowner had business ties that would have allowed access to skilled engineers, stoneworkers, and naval builders, exactly the kinds of people who would be capable of constructing the complex flood tunnel systems rumored to surround the Money Pit. The more the team learns, the harder it becomes to believe that the activity on Lot 5 was simply agricultural. Something organized happened here long before any modern treasure hunters set foot on the island. During the excavation, the team uncovers pottery fragments that date to the 1600s, predating the so-called official discovery of the Money Pit in 1795 by more than a century. Alongside them, they retrieve hand-wrought nails, possible ship parts, and fragments of tarred rope. All of these suggest maritime activity. Some of the wood pieces are carbon-dated and appear older than many of the documented settlements in the region. This supports the long-standing theory that Oak Island was visited, and altered, before recorded history noticed it. Perhaps European explorers or secretive groups had been operating in hidden coastal zones, hiding wealth, documents, or religious artifacts during periods of political upheaval. One of the most intriguing discoveries is the presence of fire-hardened earth and charcoal layers found several feet down, which do not match natural forest fires or any recorded burning for land clearing. This suggests controlled fires, possibly signals, smelting work, or crafting processes. Could tools, ingots, or even coded treasure markers have been created on Lot 5? The discovery of melted slag-like material hints at metalworking, something that would require skill, equipment, and purpose. If treasure was indeed deposited on Oak Island, then those who constructed the systems would have needed a staging location. Lot the 5th of may have been that operational hub, hidden just enough out of sight to avoid drawing attention while close enough to manage the engineering tasks. The human side of the story also deepens during this exploration. Rick Lagina, who has always approached the mystery with reverence rather than greed, reflects on the sense of presence he feels on the land. For him, every artifact is not just a clue to treasure, but a direct touch from someone who lived centuries ago. Marty, more practical and engineering-focused, evaluates whether the underground radar anomalies can be safely explored and whether larger excavation equipment should be brought in. Meanwhile, Researchers like Charles Barkhouse and historians continue to cross-reference names, deeds, shipping logs, and fraternal organization records. The more they compare, the more Lot 5 becomes part of a web of association tying Oak Island to secret societies, displaced noble families, or covert military financiers. The idea of a hidden narrative becomes hard to ignore. If the island was used to hide something of immense value, whether monetary, religious, political, or symbolic, then secrecy would have been paramount. Those who orchestrated the plan would need a secure location to gather materials, shape tools, and coordinate their work. Lot 5 fits this need perfectly: wooded, remote, elevated, but near the shoreline. It is the kind of place where activity could be masked by noise from the sea, distant from curious travelers, and yet accessible to experienced sailors who knew how to navigate the coastal waters of Nova Scotia. As the season continues, the team begins finding shaped stone patterns. Some appear to resemble markers, possibly surveying points used to align the money pit system geographically. Others suggest the remains of small structural foundations. The possibility emerges that Lot 5 may hold the remains of a command center, either a temporary staging camp or a long-term outpost. For years, many Oak Island theories have argued that the treasure was merely the result of rumor and misinterpretation. However, the evidence forming here challenges that skepticism. Artifacts do not bury themselves. Stone alignments do not create themselves. Ships do not leave rigging behind in forest soil unless there is reason. Lot 5 also becomes emotionally relevant to the team. The battles fought on Oak Island are not only technical and historical but also deeply personal. Time and again, they have brushed against hope only to have answers slip back into uncertainty. Lot 5 provides something different, a progression of evidence that grows rather than stalls. The clues here build on each other rather than contradict. The discoveries imply purpose, coordination, and planning. And purpose suggests that something of significance lies somewhere nearby, whether in the money pit, beneath the swamp, or still hidden along the island's shorelines. The deeper they dig, the more the story of Oak Island widens beyond treasure myths. Lot 5 reveals that history is far more complex than simple timelines suggest. Settlers, explorers, secret networks, and unknown workers may have all played a role here. What the team ultimately uncovers is not yet the final answer. But the discoveries on Lot 5 reinforce the belief that Oak Island was part of something organized, something intentional, something hidden. The journey on Lot 5 is still ongoing. But for the first time in some time, the clues feel like they lead forward rather than sideways. The soil is giving up names, tools, and lost efforts of hands that worked long before any modern treasure hunters stepped foot there. What lies ahead may redefine the island's story entirely. The past is rising to the surface, and Lot 5 may finally be the key that begins to open doors long sealed by time, secrecy, and myth.